Sabah everybody and welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at the brand new MateBook E 2022 edition. This is a Windows 11 tablet that converts into a laptop experience, has pen stylus input, also has the functionality of being connected to a smart display and works into the smart device or the super device ecosystem that Huawei just announced. And what I mean by this is this doesn't just work great with the display that they have, but it also works great with their devices, a very unified ecosystem that allows you to collaborate and access files from each device within one system. This is TK and this is the MateBook E 2022. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. So what we have in front of us is the MateBook E. This is the actual tablet itself. It fits directly into the actual casing. Now the actual package does include the case itself. This case is magnetic, clamps directly at the bottom, and of course turns into a laptop experience. The top part of the actual casing is the stand. You have to fold it all the way down, and that will basically help you hold the MateBook or the actual tablet in the space that you needed. Overall, the pen or the M Pen that we have in here is a new generation, the one that was also announced at the same time, but this one actually comes as a separate accessory, so you do need to pick that up as a separate accessory. But as far as what's included in the package, we definitely get the tablet, we get the casing itself, we also have the charger as well as USB-C to C cable to be able to help us charge the device. Overall, right out of the box, this is running Windows 11, so you're not going to be having to upgrade anything or try to change. So let's go ahead and take it out of the case itself, and then we'll talk a little bit more. As I mentioned to you guys, the case itself is actually very nice and provides protection on both the front and on the back. The keyboard is very nice. We have a touchpad, multi-functional options in here, and of course there's different configurations that you're able to put it in there. So you'll see here it's running the i5 with the Iris Xe Intel integrated graphics, and that's going to be powering this device. And as far as the configuration of what we have in here, this is a 12.6-inch OLED panel. This is running at about 90% screen to body ratio, running Windows 11, and of course it's an OLED panel, so definitely really good, very deep colors. And as you can see here with the background that I chose here, just how nice and how the image actually just pops very nicely. Now, as far as the actual screen resolution, is a 2560 by 1600, about 240 ppi, and about a 600 max brightness of 600 nits. So going outside, they should not have any problems. P3 gamut color calibration, and of course different angles. And AMOLED or OLED actually has really good viewing angles. There's 3 different configurations when it comes down to the processor. The model that I have here is the i5. There's an i3 and an i7, all going to be the 11th gen Intel Core processors. As far as the graphics that we have in here, there's going to be 2 configurations. One running a Intel UHD graphics, and the other one running the Intel Iris Xe graphics, as we saw just a second ago. An 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM, LPDDR4X, is going to be running on this, as well as a 128 up to 512 gigs of internal SSD in there, NVMe. The system that I have in here has a couple of configurations. One of them is where the internal storage was already pre-formatted to 120 and 340. So that's going to be my extended storage, and this will be basically where my operating system runs. So you want to run and install any additional games or extra storage running on the second storage that we have in here. There is no expandable SD card, so there is no way of adding storage in here. So make sure you pick up the one that fits you best. As far as the capacity of the battery that we have in here is a 42 watt-hour battery, and of course you have the Huawei supercharger that also kind of comes in the package to be able to charge it up. Bluetooth 5.1 and Wi-Fi 6 are also supported in here. And as far as the configuration and the ports that we have on this device, one thing to mention is, lastly, is that we have an 8 megapixel camera on the front, and on the back we have a 13 megapixel camera that gives us 4K recording and 1080p resolution on the front. So we'll go ahead and turn off the display real quick. I do want to mention that this only includes one Thunderbolt 4 supporting and DisplayPort supporting USB-C. There is no additional ports or any configuration. So if you're going to use this, my recommendation is to use some type of a hub or some kind of an external option to allow you to connect multiple things. No full-size USB-A, only USB-C. So for me, when I've been using my mouse, I've been actually using a converter to connect my Logitech mouse directly into this to be able to configure it. Now, when it comes down to the actual fans and speakers that we have 4 speakers. There's 1 and 2, and there's 2 mirrored on the other side. As far as the top part of the actual system itself, you'll notice right away that there is two bigger openings, and these are going to be the vents that are going to be cooling the i5. Since this is running a desktop or a laptop style processor, you definitely need to have the cooling, and this is how the system stays nice. It actually does a very decent decent job of cooling the system. And on the left, as I mentioned to you guys, there's the 2 additional speakers as well as 4 microphones. And included is a headphone jack as well as a power button that doubles as a fingerprint sensor. So one of the things I definitely appreciate on this is unlocking the device is very easy and very simple. Hey, you can see me right there. Orientation is not locked, and you can definitely see that. Putting a fingerprint unlocks it, works great. Put it in the dock, bring it in, and then opening up is also super easy, super fun. There are different configuration, different angles that you can set it up, although I'm going to be keeping it flat for the example of what we're trying to do here. The keyboard that we have in here is very nice and very actually good travel on it. There's no number key on the side, so this is pretty much just going to be straight up working on it. And I will say that I've been using it for the last, over a couple of months actually, since MWC. And it actually has very good travel, very good configuration. All the shortcuts that you typically get from Windows, all the different options, speaker up, and of course display, lock, and of course launching the command here, so you can definitely open up the Huawei configuration tab. And of course, all the other options that you can. There is no backlighting, but it definitely looks and works great. And we have, of course, a very nice, sizable touchpad that you're able to interface it. And it works actually pretty decently and very nicely. And of course, the touch response here is very good. So the other thing that you probably have noticed on the side is that we do have the brand new M Pen. This is a separate accessory that you're able to pick up. It does come on its own as an M Pencil here. And this is going to allow us to be able to have pen input on our tablet. And one of the really nice things is that it also does charge from the tablet itself. You just have to magnetically clamp it at the top, and you'll notice there's the battery indicator right there. So you'll know exactly how things are going. Go ahead and open up Microsoft Whiteboard. We'll go ahead and let's go ahead and pick another color. And we're going to go with light blue, and then we're going to say here. Now, one thing I will say though, that when you're tracing this and actually working around it, you'll notice that the actual pen has a slight delay into where it is. And because this is glass or plastic on glass, it actually has a very straight, it actually kind of slides in very quickly. So if you definitely want to have a little bit more of that pen feel, you could definitely take off and change the actual tip on the pen itself. And it's very easy. You just unwind it, take it off, and then change it to the more rubberized tip that provides us a little bit more resistance, and that will give you a little bit better feeling overall, more of a pen feeling. So basically, a little bit more sturdy and easier to actually kind of configure. Last but not least, we can just definitely here, we'll then select this one and then delete every single thing. Very nice, very easy, and again, you just snap it at the top and allow it to charge directly from the tablet. Now, being that this is a Huawei laptop, it means we're going to have access to the Huawei PC Manager. Now, this is a very centralized application that allows us to actually control and update our tablet and make sure that it's running the latest and greatest software from drivers and everything in there. But it also gives us access to the super device functionality that I was talking to you guys. You can definitely manage the tablet files in here. You can jump into different devices. You basically connect to the control panel. This is the little option that we have in here. It's present directly, and you can click that and it opens it up. You notice super devices listed under there. We also have the ability of doing AI search, which gives us the functionality of actually searching things directly on the tablet. But if you have, let's say, a Huawei device that you have paired up to the tablet itself, you're also able to search files directly off of the phone at the same time while connected. And we'll talk about that in a second. Let's go ahead and bring this down. We have the personal voice enhancement, of course, manage tablet files, phone recommendation. Under my device, we have the ability of doing, this is on the display. Let's go ahead and go back. Obviously, as you can see, I've already been using it with the P50 Pro, the tablet, and I've also been using it with the MateView 28-inch display that Huawei also sent to me. And we'll get a chance to check that out in a second. Part of the functionality and the very flexibility that we have in here, with the fact that we have a Thunderbolt 4 and DisplayPort access, the ability of basically being very versatile in the technologies that we are able to use. Super Device allows us to actually utilize not only the files and collaborate on the files that are on the phone, but also on the tablet, and of course connect it to a larger display. Huawei Share, very similar to what we've seen it before. This is something that you're able to use to share files. It's kind of like, if you had to kind of describe it as the AirDrop for Huawei devices. Under tips, you can actually go in there and customize optimizations. You can go in there, you can check the drivers on the system, check and make sure that they're installed, and if there's any updates, install them, of course. Performance tuning, you can definitely have it on there balanced, or performance, so you can get the best experience and the longest battery life. Hardware scanning, this is whenever you're adding new hardware or if you're connecting something that's not showing up. Battery capacity is running at 40%, CPU 1% load right now, and RAM, of course, 38. Since we're not running a lot, pretty mainly just basically running search as well as using the PC Manager. PC Manager app does update itself, and it actually works very nicely. Now, I mentioned to you guys the ability of using devices, let's say like this. This is the P50 Pro. So one thing that you definitely will appreciate about the keyboard functionality here is the actually ability of doing a tap to connect. So real quick, Nothing other than just basically go ahead and open up the phone. Let's go ahead and unlock it. So the phone is unlocked, and all I'm going to do here is just tap it at the tap here right at the keyboard that's present at the bottom, and we'll give it a second. And the phone automatically gives us the question of, do you want to connect? We're going to give it a second to connect. So let's talk a little bit about Super Device. I'm going to go ahead and open up the actual control panel, and you'll notice that this is the Super Device functionality. I'm going to bring up the ecosystem. So right now on the same system and also connected to the same Wi-Fi, we have the MateView Display and we have the P50 Pro. Now the P50 Pro went to sleep because we actually turned it off. Let's go ahead and give it a second to wake up. And as you see there, as it wakes up, it shows up back in here. If I want to connect to my P50 Pro, I just have to touch it and bring it into the ecosystem, allow it to connect. Now it's going to give me a prompt here on the P50 Pro letting me know that it is going to connect and allow me to use it. Unfortunately, the pen does not use or does not work over on the P50. Once that goes away, you'll notice that the system will allow us to actually access it, and it'll give us a visual representation of the P50 Pro on our device. And right there, EMUI desktop. Although we're not running the desktop experience, we're pretty much just the experience itself. And as you can see there, you don't necessarily have to use the phone, but you can pretty much just keep it there. You can pin it, change the settings, and of course, go into the different options. You can have basically the ability of using multi-device collaboration, multi-device files, AI search, and screen collaboration. And what I mean by this, what I really like here, if we say just jump into the Windows tab, and we're going to jump under my PC. The actual P50 Pro shows up in here. I'm able to actually access the files straight up on the file on the phone without having to actually transfer files, connect cables or anything. We're doing this entirely wireless. The only requirement would be obviously is to have your laptop or your PC, Huawei PC, updated to the latest PC manager, but also be on the same network as the smartphone. Now, one thing to keep in mind, I can actually close this and it still runs pretty much the same experience. I don't actually have to look at the phone. As long as we are connected and it's running through the Super Device, you're able to actually get these experiences and they run very smoothly. Now, conversely, we can do the exact same situation with the MateView and connect wirelessly again over there using the Super Device functionality. And then that one, all I have to do is bring it in, connect it, and allow it to actually run. Now, I'm going to show you guys some clips from me using this because, as you can imagine, that's a much bigger display and how I used it. Once you have it connected, it runs directly over Wi-Fi. You are able to connect the USB-C cable to the base of the monitor to be able to charge up your tablet, but it doesn't necessarily have to use that functionality. So overall, it's a very simple, easy way to be able to access your files, watch movies, and actually use multi-screen collaboration. And it is going to really work very nicely for you, especially when you have a really strong Wi-Fi connectivity. For me, it allows me to use this with multiple displays and not be limited by the 12.6-inch display. Although great for outdoors when you're traveling and when you're outside, when you don't have access to a larger display, I feel like accessing things like that and utilizing the Super Device functionality, because I'm actually able to use a mouse connected to that monitor to control my PC, and it really becomes very nice and very functional. So these features are running on Huawei devices like this. So the P50 Pro, as long as you're running the latest version of the software on your smartphone and the latest version of the PC Manager on your PC, you're going to be able to get the best experience and do all of those things. One of the other things I really like about this, so let's go ahead and actually go to phone. I'm going to go ahead and jump back, close this one. I'm going to connect. And one of the things that you could do here wirelessly, once you connect your phone directly into it, you'll be able to see the device, but also you can do photo backup, video backup, all wirelessly connected, multi-screen collaboration, and I can actually use the AI search. So if I jump in here and I go into the AI search functionality, and I'm going to actually look into, I did name a specific file on my phone. You'll notice the search can actually jump in there, and I have the OnePlus Short that I created in there. And I can access it, I can see the file size, and I can transfer it directly to my PC if I want to and actually collaborate and use it. That's one of the functionalities that you get in here when you're using the system. You can actually access the gallery, open it up. Let's go ahead and open up the pictures here, scroll all the way back down, open everything, and of course, just run everything as if you are using the phone. Also, although the screen did go to sleep, I'm still getting the functionality of everything on the PC. Very nice and very simple. Again, making this really a truly immersive ecosystem for Huawei devices. Now, I know at the beginning I mentioned to you guys that we have some great speakers in here. So we're going to go ahead and open it up and we're going to go to YouTube. We're going to go to our favorite song to be able to demonstrate this. We're going to go jump in to Alex Scrindo by NCS Release. I'm going to give it a second here. And we're going to go ahead and definitely put the volume all the way to 100%. This is not recommended, but I just want to give you guys a visual. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to actually start it at about 20. Let's do this. I'll start at about 24% and we're going to gradually go up.
Jack it up.
Now, as you heard there, the audio definitely sounds really good. It gets very nice and very loud, and watching content on this literally makes you feel like you're on a much bigger experience than what the display is, which really makes it very nice and fun when I'm using it with the MateView display, because then I'm able to get a 28-inch display out of that at a very nice resolution, and of course still get the ability of getting the really good sound coming out of the speakers here or the base of the MateView. Now, as far as jumping into the camera application, it's pretty straightforward. You're able to use it to record video if you want to, and of course this is going to work with Zoom, Skype, any kind of video conferencing application. If you want to take pictures, pretty much just switch over to the camera application. Otherwise, you're able to jump into the settings. Back-facing camera, best resolution, or the front-facing camera, 1080p resolution, and of course the 8-megapixel high sensor here. If you want to be able to go to a little bit lower to get slightly more of a wider angle, you're able to. But if we switch over to the back-facing sensor, that's going to give us the best resolution, giving us the ability of going all the way up to 2160p as far as resolution, and of course 12.6 megapixel camera, resolution in the back. You're able to jump over and of course change it if you want to change the aspect ratio. We have HDR and of course different functionalities. Let's go ahead and do a quick sample of the front-facing and the back-facing sensors on the brand new MateBook E. We're going to start off with the front-facing camera here on the MateBook E. Now this is capable of giving us 1080p, and that's going to be the maximum resolution. Although on the back-facing sensor, the 13 megapixel sensor, we can definitely go at a higher resolution of 4K, 30 frames per second as well. But one thing to keep in mind, this is a tablet, there's no stabilization, so any movement in your hands will definitely start showing up. Now, one of the really nice things is that we actually have 4 microphones on this setup, and of course using the main sensor on the back, we can shoot all the way up to 4K. Now, for video conferencing, the front-facing camera is going to be the best solution. Obviously, you want to be in front of it, you want to see what's going on. But if you're going to be that person that actually uses a tablet like I'm doing right now to take a video, this should be a good example of what the rear-facing camera on the MateBook E can do. The video from both the front-facing and the back-facing camera are okay. I'm not going to call them the best experience, but again, we don't expect great quality camera on a tablet. Again, that's what the P50 Pro is there for. Now, if you want to make video calls or you do need to use the back-facing sensor to show somebody on a video call, this is going to work absolutely great. But if you want to record content from it, and this should be a good example of what it looks like. I don't recommend you walking around taking your tablet and taking pictures with it. This is again intended for office and work use. So these cameras are intended to give you that flexibility and the ability of sharing content in that aspect. At the end of the day, I feel like using this system in the super device or the Huawei super device ecosystem makes this very versatile. So if you're looking at picking up, let's say, the display, the MateView display with, let's say, a P50 Pro, now you're getting the cross-system, cross-platform collaboration you can't really get with many devices on the market right now. And what I'm talking about is, as you're looking at right there, the P50 Pro works directly with the MateView display. I'm able to tap on the bottom of the display, it charges it wirelessly, and wirelessly connects me to the display, and I'm able to get the EMUI desktop experience or screen mirroring, all of the things that I normally want to do by just doing that wirelessly. Now, conversely, the super device will also work if I'm trying to connect it, as I showed you guys, with the MateBook E. So the phone can connect directly to the MateBook E, and I'm able to transfer files. I can search for files on the phone from the MateBook E, transfer that content, and of course put things back, and even collaborate. So meaning opening a file, editing it on the tablet, and then later on going back and editing the same document at the same point I stopped on the phone by using that functionality. You do need to turn that on in the PC manager, but otherwise it works really nicely. And of course, at the end, as you're seeing there, it also gives me the ability of utilizing the MateBook E with the MateView display to actually get more functionality and more multitasking capabilities. The one thing I would probably say, as you're seeing there, when I split the screen 4 ways, it gives me the ability of just putting a lot more content and more information on the display very quickly and very easily. The MateView is actually a Wi-Fi connected and Bluetooth enabled display, so it's not just a regular monitor that you can pick up. It definitely has a lot more functionalities, supports HDMI in as well as USB-C connectivity, and as you can see with the super device functionality, it allows that ecosystem to work great. You can go on the MateBook E, connect to the monitor wirelessly, or even connect to your P50 Pro, and everything will work just cohesively very nicely. Just make sure that they're all on the same Wi-Fi, and then you'll get the best experience, of course. So what do I think at the end of the day of the MateBook E? I think the MateBook E is a very nice device. Depending on the configuration you're able to pick it up, you're going to get a slightly different experience. I feel like obviously the i7 will be the best configuration. Go with the 16 gigabytes of RAM if you can, and the 512 gigs of internal storage, mostly because we don't have expandable storage on this device. There is no SD card functionality. So whatever storage you pick up, you're going to be basically stuck with. And the reason why I mentioned 16 gigabytes is because I feel like at this day and age, 16 gigabytes is the new standard for Windows, especially for Windows 11. And if you want to do some light gaming, as I'm showing you guys right there, I was playing Rocket League. This is definitely not going to be a power station to be able to run like some heavy duty gaming on this. I tried running Doom on this, and I know this is really, really overkill, but I was running at about 17 frames per second, and that just obviously is non-playable. So for me, Rocket League, some light gaming, I think this is going to do very well. If you want to play it on the bigger display, definitely do so. But the biggest thing that I would probably say, very nice, very good portability. The keyboard travel is really nice. All the functionalities that you get in there. I would have wished if we had more ports, being that this is a Windows PC, not just an Android tablet, or basically just something that give us a little bit more functionality. And I think this is where a nice little dock, a USB-C dock, would definitely be very functional. So with those things, you can definitely get SD card functionality, HDMI obviously out as well, and also, of course, additional USB ports to connect things. Because when I was trying to use it with my mouse, because I wanted to use my Logitech mouse, I had to use an adapter from USB-A to C to get it to connect. I know I could have connected it via Bluetooth, but for easy, quick installation, I was able to try to do these things. This just makes it very functional. And of course, you can use the same adapter and of course, get just more functional things, access like a USB drive or something like that. There is no adapter included in the box. It's pretty much just the charger and the wire. And I would have hoped that this is something that they used to include with their PCs in the past. So maybe something like that in the future. The M Pencil, very nice and very, very functional if you want to have pen input and you do need to have that basically drawing and more precise functionality. It doesn't work as well as basically like a pen to paper. And the reason I say this is because this is technically plastic on glass. So you're getting more of a glide than necessarily that tactile feel. Although it actually does have really good traceability, and as you saw there, the more pressure you put, the larger the actual line was getting. So it definitely has pressure sensitivity, and I would recommend you using more of the plastic or the rubberized tip to give you a little bit more friction, just to ever so gently give you more of that pencil feel, like a pen to paper type of a feeling. Windows 11 on a tablet is very functional. An OLED panel, 12.6-inch display is definitely large enough to give us that nice little portability. This is definitely not going to take a lot of space in your backpack, even with the keyboard case on it, which by the way is included in the package. The M Pencil is not. This is definitely going to work great. And what I like about it, it also gives us the ability of protecting it on the back as well as on the front. One thing I will probably say is you do need to keep in mind if you use any other convertible tablets is that the actual opening or the stand opens from the top, not from the bottom. And that was something that I had to quickly learn because I've used other tablets, let's say Samsung's or even Windows, other Windows ones from Microsoft. The kickstand is at the bottom. This one is at the top and you have to kind of flip it down. But otherwise, it works great. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of the brand new MateBook E, as well as what do you guys think of the Huawei super device? I really like an ecosystem that allows us to actually collaborate across multiple devices and basically collaborate in a very quick and easy way, not having to make it very cumbersome by having to basically figure out what wire I need to connect. Wirelessly, everything connects, transferring over Wi-Fi, very fast connectivity. And as you saw there, I can actually search the files on my phone from my PC. Just flat out. And if I like it, transfer it to my PC. I can back up my pictures, back up my videos, all done straight up on the MateBook E. A very good central hub for the entire super device ecosystem. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you to Huawei for allowing me to check out the MateBook E, the MateView, as well as the P50 Pro. Bye-bye for now.